I would like to introduce Dr. Boyle, who will be our next speaker, excuse me, speaking on the topic of responsible parenthood. Dr. Phil Boyle is a general practitioner with a special interest in infertility and women's health. He graduated in medicine from the National University of Ireland, Galway in 1992. He was the first doctor to bring natural procreative technology, also known as NAPRO technology, treatment to Ireland and to Europe. He presently runs a busy practice in Galway where over 2,000 couples have received infertility treatment since 1998. He is a member of Fertility Care International and is director of Fertility Care Centres of Europe, an organisation that aims to make fertility care and NAPRO technology widely available throughout the continent of Europe. Dr. Boyle has a keen interest in the theology of the body, and it influences his care of couples. Dr. Boyle today will speak about responsible parenthood and the ethical regulation of fertility from a medical perspective. Please welcome Dr. Phil Boyle.
Thank you very much, Damien, and everybody. It's a real privilege for me to be here and a pleasure to present this information. So it's all about the couple. Everyone can look at a happy couple and they just give you a good feeling. You see the love that's there between a married couple or any couple, even a courting couple, and you just feel the love, and God is love, and God is there with that couple. And it's beautiful as well when you see the fruit of their love, the physical embodiment of their love in the children that are conceived, and the whole world, regardless of one's philosophical viewpoint, can accept these things are all good. From a Catholic perspective, we recognize, especially with the recent insights from theology of the body that deepens all of this, that couples co-create with God a new human life. A baby is made in the image and likeness of the couple, but the baby is also made in the image and likeness of God. And the baby is a physical embodiment of their love for each other. The love becomes so real that it's expressed in a new physical person. Oh, they're my three children. I've been blessed, thank God, with 2 boys and a girl, a 5-year-old, 3-year-old, and a 6-month-old. And our family today expanded to 8 because my wife is looking after her sister's 5 other children as well as these 3. So she's been heroic in saying her yes to letting me come here today. But it will be back down to 3 by Monday. The gift of life, it's a profound thing that the couple are entrusted with a little baby who is a co-equal eternal, immortal soul. And it's a really profound thing because a lot of the time when we deal with things that are scientific and medical, we deal about life, we deal about human life, but sometimes we can forget about the eternal dimension of it, especially as physicians working in this area, that it's not just life, it's eternal, immortal souls. And the couple that are entrusted with the gift of sexual love are given a power that angels in heaven don't possess, to be able to create anew that which did not exist before and which will continue to exist for eternity. It's a very, very profound thing that couples do together. It's beautiful, it's natural, it's love, and sometimes it just happens, but what an effect it has for the rest of eternity. It's quite a profound thing. And as any Spider-Man fan knows, with great power comes great responsibility. We recognize that God is the creator, and we are stewards of this awesome power. We are not the creators. God is the creator, and he entrusts this gift to us to use wisely. Sadly, there's a global crisis in our refusal to follow the Church's teaching on sexual ethics. When Humani Vitae came out, which incidentally was the year I was born, the majority of Catholics, in their practice of what they did, refused to accept the Church's teaching. and this has led to a lot more of premarital sex, cohabitation. These things are considered normal. It's the normal practice in Ireland now. Certainly when I was in my courtship, we were the exception rather than the rule. If we go to a friend's wedding, that we would book separate rooms. Everybody else who was dating and courting, they would automatically be sleeping together because that is the norm. And we didn't have to say a word. Just by us being in separate rooms, it would speak volumes. And it's hard to actually make that choice, but it's important that we do. There's widespread acceptance of contraception as being a great good. Most doctors would presume that contraception is a great good and don't really give it much thought. Certainly in my own medical training, I would have been taught to accept that contraception is good, as is sterilization and artificial reproduction to help couples to get the gift of life. Many people who are involved in this work don't recognize that what they're doing is bad. I went to a conference recently for the Irish Fertility Society, and there were a lot of doctors there, the vast majority working in the area of in vitro fertilization, and something just occurred to me that these are good people trying to do good things to help couples who have problems. The only problem is the means they choose to get the good end isn't always good, and they don't fully realize that. I guess it's good to take people at that level, that they're good intentioned and they want to do good things, but they need to be helped to understand there's a better way they can get the good end, that they don't have to resort to the artificial reproductive technologies. And that's the challenge for me as a physician, to try and convince my peers about that. I would believe, and many commentators have said, that because of this whole contraceptive mentality and the contraceptive culture and are buying into the lie, that culturally we're suffering from that. There's an increase in single parenthood, which brings its hardship for the parent as well as the children involved. Divorce, abortion, homosexuality, family domestic violence and social disintegration. Many of these things are made worse because of our contraceptive culture, believe it or not. That isn't the topic of my talk today, but just to say that this is a social ill that we're experiencing, which contraception largely contributes to. I would believe that this comes from the lie, the reproductive health lie that's been promoted by the Planned Parenthood ideology, which, if anybody who has done any research into Margaret Sanger, who is the origin and inspiration of all of this, she was very much engaged in the occult and demonic inspiration for the ideas that she has come up with all of this. There's quite a good book by Ignatius Press. It's called Blessed Are the Barren, and it explains how this whole process has come about, how the ideology of Planned Parenthood offering the lie it's like the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, that this lie that appears to be good is actually bringing its fruit of bad things to couples personally, to their family, and as the family goes, so goes society. And basically it promotes poor choices that are destructive personally and culturally. It leads to marital discord and all the ills that go with that. I believe that fertility care and NAPRO technology offer the authentic version of the lie that Planned Parenthood are actually promoting. And I also believe that if people know this, regardless of their ideology, if they understand exactly what it is that we offer through fertility care and NAPRO technology, they would drop the alternative thing that's been offered to them. I take heart from Pope John Paul II's teaching that he says, take comfort and know that the truth is written on people's hearts. And when they hear the truth, it's like their hearts will go on fire with it and say, this is what I want. And they'll be able to embrace the beauty that fertility care and NAPRO technology is, what it can do for them personally and what it can do culturally as well. Many people would say to me, you know, how can you convince anybody about contraception today? It's dead in the water. We can't even go there politically or medically, but we fail to go there, we're going to lose everything. You can't win the battle for the culture of life unless you take on contraception. But it's got to be done in a winning way, and when I hear people like Christopher West articulating the beauty of the theology of the body and what it is and the excitement that he has for that, then I say that's the way forward. If people get a hold of this excitement, they're going to grab onto this with their two hands and they won't let go. And I think that the tools we have with fertility care and NAPRO technology, they give life to the theology of the body, to enable people, to empower them to be able to embrace the teaching that comes to us from theology of the body. So this will help to promote good choices that are beneficial personally and culturally. And yes, it is inspired by Catholic teaching, but it doesn't alienate people of any faith. We have people of the Mormon Church, the Church of Latter-day Saints. I've recently treated a Protestant minister and his wife. I treat people of any denomination. I've got a Muslim couple coming to me as well. And this is not offensive to people of any religion. And true tolerance is that I believe what I believe, they believe what they believe, and we work in harmony with our science and medicine, which is common ground to all of us. The concept with fertility care and NAPRO technology is that fertility is not a disease that needs to be suppressed or feared. A lot of the time we're taught through the Irish College of General Practitioners that if a girl comes into us and she's of reproductive age and she's got an ingrown toenail, that it's imperative on us that we say to her, by the way, what are you using for contraception? Because we have to suppress the disease of her fertility so that she doesn't suffer from the illness of pregnancy. And what we're doing is we're viewing fertility as a disease that needs to be treated medically so you don't get the illness of pregnancy. And that's what we're actually doing in practice. Whereas we have a completely different approach and we say fertility, normal healthy women are fertile, it's good to be fertile, and you should understand, treasure and respect your fertility and live in harmony with it. You don't need to be afraid of it, and learn it and understand it, and it is good. Interestingly, doctors who train in fertility care and NAPRO technology in order to go to the United States and go to the program, it's called the Pope Paul VI Institute, inspired by Humanae Vitae. It's run by Professor Thomas Hilders. And in order to train in fertility care and NAPRO technology to be able to provide the technology that we use, doctors have to agree to say, I will not provide artificial birth control or perform or refer for sterilization, abortion or IVF. So that keeps a lot of people out of the door straight away, as you can imagine. After qualification, we affiliate to this professional organization of the American Academy of Fertility Care Professionals that maintain professional and ethical standards. My decision to get involved in fertility care, primarily I didn't know about NAPRO technology, was as a GP in training, the penny finally dropped with me that if I can't use contraception personally because of my Catholic beliefs, because it's bad for me personally, how can I in good conscience give something that I know with all my heart and soul and faith to be bad? How can I give a bad thing to people who are walking in the door just because they want it? And if I believe it's bad and I give it to them, then I'm not at a very good place with the guy who made me when I come to account for the actions of my life. So for me, I needed to find a way. There is a real need for family planning. Couples need that. And I needed to provide family planning in a way that was consistent with my faith. And the best system I could find at that time in 1995 was the Creighton Model Fertility Care System. And when I went over there, I discovered that NAPRO technology was part of what they did as well, much to my delight and surprise. As a GP going through training, I was advised to change my career because really I had too many ethical hang-ups, and that I wouldn't make a good GP because of that. My friends were looking at me saying, you're never going to get a job, you know that. If you don't prescribe the pill, nobody's going to hire you. I said, you know, you're probably right. And in my mind, I couldn't see a way forward. But I said, how can I live with myself? If I prescribe the pill to my patients and I know I'm doing something that's bad to them, that's destructive to their marriage, that's destructive to their relationship, even if it's not abortive, which it is a lot of the time, how can I do this and live with myself? And I want to be a GP, so why can't I be a GP and be a Catholic? Is that not possible today? And some people were telling me I was taking my religion too seriously, and if I talked to such and such a priest, he would put me right in how I'd be able to prescribe. But it's a problem because the profession of general practice and obstetrics are designed now that if you are a Catholic and you want to follow the Catholic Church's teaching, you're at a real difficult place if you won't prescribe hormonal contraception, refer for sterilisation, in vitro fertilisation, and all of these things. But the flip side of that is there's very, very few Catholic doctors working in these areas now. But the flip side of it is Catholic patients are being deprived of the right to go to a Catholic doctor who practices medicine consistent with their beliefs. And us doctors badly, badly, badly need you patients to start shouting. We can't shout a whole lot about this. We need the patients to demand, we need Catholic doctors. I don't want to send my daughter to a doctor who's going to give my 12-year-old daughter the birth control pill and not even tell me about it because he's allowed to do that legally now. I want to send my daughter to a doctor who's going to say, this is a bad choice for you to make, you've got to make a better choice, and encourage her to Catholic values in her life. So couples, Catholic families have the right to find Catholic doctors to be able to provide this. There are enough other secular doctors who don't follow the Catholic teaching that they're far easier to find than the Catholic ones. So there's a real need, I think, if you want Catholic doctors to continue to be there, people have to start fighting for them and have to start shouting up for them. So what we do in fertility care and NAPRO technology, it's a countercultural revolution. Fertility care and NAPRO technology provide the professional framework to empower couples who wish to embrace the theology of the body. Literally, there are hundreds of new doctors and teachers available in the USA and globally now. This is starting an entire movement from the United States that's spreading globally, where young physicians can actually see the beauty of this and they're embracing it with their two hands and running with it from a family planning perspective and all the other things that it does. FertilityCare.org is the American charity that lists all of the fertility care centres in the United States, so we can keep couples smiling. Because you have an issue, as a couple, you go to your GP with a family planning need, with infertility or a gynecologic health problem, 9 times out of 10 you're going to be put on the birth